Hey everyone,
I'm Steph.
I'm Michael.
Today we're checking out Minos.
Dawn of the Bronze Age from Board and Dice. This game plays 1 to 4 players and has a box playtime of 90 to 150 minutes.
It's long, and it will be long the first few plays, I think.
Yes, but the more players you add, the longer it's probably going to
Oh,
be.
for sure, for sure.
So, obviously, thanks to Board and Dice for providing us this copy of Minos, but they didn't give it to us in exchange for this video. They gave it to us because they know we like to play all the games. So, this is going to be the rules teach, and then hopefully Amy will have arrived and we can play a 3-player game of Minos. So, let's go ahead and get to all the rules. So, a little bit about setup. You're going to have to set this board to the correct player count. This is for 2 and 3 players. If you have 2 players, you're going to need to section off a little bit of the board because big volcanoes are erupting down here, can't go in this area. But for 3 players, you can have the entirety of this little area here, which is Greece. So you're going to take all the dice. With a 3-player game, you are going to remove 1 gray die. And with 2 players, you are going to remove 1 die of each color and put them in the box. So shuffle up all of the city foundation tiles together. Those are the ones that have this back on them, and place 1 of them in each non-starting region. The starting regions are the circle regions in a 2-player game, so areas 1 and 3, the diamond regions in a 3-player game, and the where are they? There are, on the other side, there are pentagon-shaped regions for 4-player games. So you're going to shuffle together all of the level 1 and level 2 sea peoples into separate groups. Level 1s are the blues, the level 2s are the reds. You're going to put a level 2 onto each of the non-starting regions, and then a level 1 on top of each of those. Now, the rules aren't clear as to whether you can look under these at any time. However, since this is how you're creating these on the map, you're actually revealing all the level 2, age 2 sea peoples and putting the ones on top. We have ruled in this house anyway that we can indeed look underneath to see what the next sea people what you're going to need for the next level.
Yeah, it doesn't say you put them face down.
Right. So you've got goods tiles up here. You are going to create stacks of 5 of each of these types. This one is a silver. And you're going to put 5 of each up there in the corner. Once those are gone, they are gone. However, there are going to be random ones that you can draw randomly from the stacks. However, if you're trying to get a specific type, then these are the only ones that are available for that purpose. And then you've got stacks of all the temporary goods. Steph has a lot of these on the board, but there are plenty of them off the board, off to the side that you can't see, along with the random trade tiles as well.
They're just in face down stacks.
Yes. Going to put the round marker on the first space. As you can see, we're going to have 2 rounds on a scoring, 2 more rounds on a scoring, and a final count. And I always forget to move the round marker. Mm-hmm. Fortunately, the round marker is indeed a round marker.
All you got to do is follow the round structure.
Yes. 2-player aids per player, super helpful.
Very, very, very helpful.
So you are going to place 3 trade. Oh, I forgot to mention, if you are playing with 2 players, you are going to need to place these overlays onto these 5 spaces. This limits the number of spaces that are available in a 2-player game. However, for a 3-player game, we've got you got 3 spaces on each of these action locations. You're going to take 3 trade route tiles and put them on these dedicated spaces down in the corner. For your first game, they recommend using the A side. For subsequent games, you can decide to switch them all to the B side, or you can have some combination of A and B.
I just randomly did it when I did yesterday. What about today?
They're all A's right now. You randomly gave me A side, so that's what I put them on.
What?
That's what
No,
happened.
you're supposed to flip them.
Well, I randomly did it that way. So you shuffle up the age 1 decree cards, deal 5 of them out. You're also going to shuffle up all the age 2 decree cards, put them off to the side. You might actually need them before age 2 happens. Shuffle up all of the vase tiles. You're going to place 1 of each color onto these spots. If you're playing a 2-player game, take a neutral player color and cover up the 7-point spot on each, leaving only the 10 and the 3 available. Fortunately, we have 3 players, or should anyway, so we will have all 3 of them available. Finally, you are going to select a random action bonus tile and place it on its dedicated space. This is going to give what's called an action bonus. Sometimes they are weapons. Sometimes it is a good like this, but it's going to be different every game. So, and then you can put the rest of them in the box. For player setup, you are going to need starting cards, and you're going to need the ones of the correct player count. For 2 players, there's going to be exactly 2 of these starting cards. 3 players, obviously, we've got 3 of them. That's going to tell you not only who the first player is, but also what region that they start in, how many cards you're going to be dealt, how many cards of those you're going to have to discard, how many cards you're going to put underneath your player board
1
as a palace card, how many victory points you start with, coins, and weapons. In addition, you are going to need as many special ability tiles as the number of players. So as you can see, these are just one-sided. So you're going to have 3 of these and 3 starting cards, starting with the player who last won the title of the king, or randomly chosen, which Amy has been chosen to go first. We're basically going to take these like so, and Amy will choose one of these elements. It could be one of the ability tiles. It could be a starting player card. Then we're going to go to me. I'm going to choose something of my choice. Steph is going to choose something of her choice and then immediately take the other thing she did not choose. I will take one remaining of the thing I did not choose, and Amy's going to get whatever's left over at the end.
Yep.
So that's how that's going to go down. That will give us each one of each of these things. You're going to take your starting resources, and you're going to take whatever your special ability is and place it over here to the side with one of your discs in the bottom level. And that's going to give you some kind of ability. Everybody's going to get a player board and a color. You're going to place 1 city and 1 soldier into whichever region that your starting card tells you to go to. You're also going to get 3 more guys and put them into your available warriors area. You're going to put all of your farms, which are little trees, your 3 boats, your 3 towers, and your 2 cities. Place them on your board. Notice this city already has a check mark on it. That's the city that you put onto the board at the start of the game. Your income marker is also going to go on the lowest possible space. Let me put this back out here. So, the only resources in this game are effectively money and weapons, coins and weaponry. There are goods, but goods only give you a discount to what things cost. So, as I mentioned, the game will be played over 4 rounds, and scoring will occur after the end of the second round and the end of the fourth round. So this is the age 1 and age 2. So we're going to roll all the dice, and we are going to sort them by value. If there are 6 dice that show the same value, re-roll all the dice and keep re-rolling them until you don't have 6 of the same value. It looks like we would be okay if this were our roll, because we got 4 of these, 4 of these, 4 of these, so we are good to go. Then, starting with the first player and going clockwise, you're going to select a die and place it into your little dice trays. So, let's say Amy selects this 2. She'll put it in her dice tray. I might select this 6. Steph will select, and we will keep selecting until all players have chosen all of the dice. However, as soon as we take this, we have to place it on one of these action spaces. So let's say Amy had chosen, let's give her this 6 instead. Where's she going, Steph?
Here.
She's going to go there onto this space. She must place it in the leftmost space. So let's say I come along after and I place a 2 there. I don't go to the right of her. I will push her down. I'm going to get a stronger action, but I have a weaker die. The reason why you want big dice, I'll explain here in just a second. Now, let's say Steph came along and she also took a 2. She has to place it after my 2, but in front of her 6. Now, if Steph had gone to another place, she can't willingly choose to go to the right-hand side. Again, she must take the left-hand spot. Now, it's perfectly okay if I want to place 2 dice up in one area. That just means I'm going to get more actions in this wild area. That's what this is here. This is for soldiers, for building, for cards, actually for playing cards, and for receiving new cards. So, after you have taken and placed 4 dice, then we are going to advance on these progress tracks. You are going to take a look at the dice that you have chosen, and you're going to advance on these tracks for every group that has a total value of 9 or more. Grays can be used for any track. So let's say Amy had chosen this die and this die and this die. So Amy cannot choose to group these 2 grays together. Here are her 4 dice. She cannot choose to group these 2 grays together to go up one on the yellow track. She can take a 6 and this gray 5 to go up on the red track. This is a group of 9 or more. Unfortunately, this is not a group of 9 or more. So, whenever you have grays, you have to have at least one of another color that's placed with it. You can have any number of gray dice in a group. So as long as if she had wanted to go up on the yellow track, this would have been a good option for her. This would advance her once on the yellow track, but none on the red track. In order to go up on both tracks, she might need something like this. Hey, that's 1 move on the red track and 1 move on the yellow track. Each time you go up on one of these tracks, you're going to get whatever benefit is on that track. Some of them will give you an income of putting cards underneath your player board. I'll discuss that, why that's important here in a second. Some of them will let you go up on your special abilities track, these two spaces here, and give you goods spots. Give you these goods tiles, which will give you discounts. Hello, Amy. So some of these are going to give you points if you have majorities on the board. So all of these are quite important. So let's put these back where I got them. After all three of us have gone up on these tracks, then in turn order, starting with the first player and going clockwise, we are going to retrieve our dice one at a time, moving it from the main board to our player area, and then doing the action that it says. It doesn't matter what the die value is at this point. All you're going to do is the thing that is on the action where your die was. So the reason why you want high value dice is to go up on these tracks. This does not give you a strength 6 action for these spaces like some other games do. So after you take your die, but before you resolve any actions, you can forfeit your entire turn to gain 2 whole coins instead. If you've got any benefits based on cards, these decree cards, then you can use them even though you have scrapped the rest of your turn. Now, what do I mean by special abilities on these? So this is a decree card. If you were to play it, it would cost you 8 coins. You can get a discount by using silver. You will get whatever is on this card, and it will just go over into your played cards area. Whenever you place this under your player board, which there is a special symbol that allows you to do that. When you place this underneath your player board, this is a special thing that will happen every time you take this action. For example, when you take the wild action, you're going to get a weapon. So if this card were underneath my player board, then whenever I take my die to do this wild action, I'm going to immediately take 1 weapon. And you can trigger everything with that symbol. If I have 4 different cards with that symbol, I can take all 4 of those bonuses. And again, that is true whether or not I even take the action that is given to me on that space. So let's talk a little bit about these action spaces. We've got the prepare action, which is going to let you gain these decree cards. Sometimes you'll also be given like a coin and a weapon, or an advance up a track, or whatever this special bonus action is. On this space, you draw 4 cards, one of which can be an age 2 card. You can draw these cards. Where did that card go? Oh, it's underneath my board. You can draw these cards from the offer or from the top of the deck, but you do not replenish this until you're done taking cards. The second spot gives you 2 cards. The third spot gives you 3 cards. This spot here is called Develop. This lets you place cards from your hand onto your played area. And these are these decree cards, whether they are the age 1 or age 2. You can play either one as long as you have drawn it at some point. So let's go back to this example. This card that cost 8 coins. If I have 1 or more of these silver good tokens, I can immediately save 3 coins from my purchase price. If I have 2, that does not give me a discount of 6. This means if you have 1 or more, you can get a discount. If there are 2 icons below this 8, and I have both of those icons, I can take -3 coins for each. Of course, the minimum that you will pay is 0 You can't ever have a negative cost. If I don't have one of those special tiles, I might have one of these temporary goods tiles. If I decided to use this to save myself $3, I have to give this round token up. But these are permanent. You don't spend them at all. The little round ones are temporary. So you're going to play 3 or 1 with an advancement on a track, or 2, and then your turn is over. Let's talk a little bit about the build action. The build action will let you place cities, towers, boats on trade routes, or farms onto the map. This will let you get 3 build action points. This will let you get 1 build action point with an advancement. This will let you have 2 build action points. You can spend those build action points to, if you choose it, to build a city, then you have to select a region with no other city and has one of your warriors on it. Move these off to the side here. What you'll do is you'll spend the amount of coins up at the top. If you have stone goods, they will reduce the cost by 3. Now, these are different than the cards. These will allow you to get a bigger discount if you have multiple stones. So this city cost me 6 coins. Each of these gives me a discount of 3. Hey, that city is going to be free for me to build. I place it onto that region, onto this development spot, and I'm going to immediately take what is on this token. Just like that. I don't even have to defeat these sea people first. I just place my city right here. Now, neither Steph nor Amy can now build a city in this region because I have built a city in this region. My cities don't have to be contiguous. I just have to make sure I have a warrior, a soldier in that region. Let's talk a little bit about building a tower. You can only place towers where you have cities and does not already have a tower in play. So your first tower costs 3, second one 6, third one 9. This cost is mitigated by the use of copper in this one. So I placed my tower down, and that is pretty much it. What do towers do for me? Honestly, not a heck of a lot. But once I've placed my first tower, I am allowed to move my ship along this trade route past the 3rd area. So let's talk a little bit about building ships. My first ship will cost 3, my second ship 6, my third ship 9. Again, this is mitigated with wood. Every wood I have is going to give me a discount of 3. And then I'm going to place this ship onto one of these trade routes. It's also going to cost me this many coins, or in some cases, weapons. The coins can be mitigated by having herbs, and every herb that I have is going to give me a discount of 1 coin. So I'm going to place this here, and notice this is going to give me some sort of an income. This is an income of victory points. For a build point, I can build a boat. For a build point, I can advance an existing boat, but I can only ever have 1 boat on this track. Once I've reached this spot and I want to cross into space number 4, I'm going to have a tower. In order to do that on a second track or a third track, I'm going to have my second or third tower built to advance my second or third boat up these trade route tracks. The top of the track is as far as you can go. When you get that, you're going to get the number of victory points that's up here at the top, and that's going to be the best sort of income benefit that you can get. Notice that level 2 and level 4 are colored blue and red. That's going to give you access to one of these tokens here. These are the 4 blue tokens. These are the 4 red tokens. You're going to, did forget to mention this during setup, you're going to need to have a number of these equal to player count plus 1. So for 3 players, you're going to need 4 blues and 4 reds for each of these trade routes. Normally, you stack them into one stack, but since they are freely viewable at all times, we like to have them spread out like this. So if you advance to the 2nd spot or the 4th spot, you're going to take the corresponding tile and then save it for whenever you really need it. This, for example, will give you an advancement up the red track. This lets you place a warrior and then take 2 weapons. So all sorts of different effects that are available. So that is building boats, and that's also moving boats up the trade route track. Finally, we have farms. You have to select a region with no farm and at least one of your warriors. You don't even need a city in that spot. As long as I have a warrior in the space, I can place one of my farms. But there can't be any other farms in that region. The reason, and this is going to cost you not coins, but warriors. And these warriors, the loss of those warriors can be mitigated with wheat. For every wheat you have, you can spend 1 fewer warrior. Well, let's say I had one of these wheat. Then I'm going to save this warrior here. And let's say later on he moves over here and I want to build my second one. Well, I need 2 warriors to build my second farm. As you can see from here, it's a little hot, Steph.
Okay.
Looks like you need 2 warriors for your second farm, 3 warriors for your third farm, 4 warriors for your fourth farm, but you don't even have to have them if you can mitigate the loss, or at least some of the loss, with wheat. This mitigates 1 loss. Well, I've got another warrior here, and he can pay for that second loss, enabling me to build this farm. Now, why do you want to build farms? Well, at the end of ages 1 and 2, you are going to score 2 points, 4 points, 8 points, or 14 points in after rounds 2 and after round 4. Notice that some of these farms will also give you an income boost here and here and here. So, what are some other ways that you can get income boosts? Well, you can also get income boost for having sets of these trade tiles. Something that you get that you don't already have is going to give you 1 push up the income track. If I can get a second copy of that, that's going to give me 2 pushes up the income track. If I can get me a third copy, I'm going to go up 1 on the income track and get 1 age 2 decree card. But let's say I can get a 4th one. That's going to give me 2 more pushes on the income track. Once you've reached the end of the income track, every time you would push up above that number, you're just going to take 2 coins instead. Notice you're also going to get not only an income of 10 at the final position, but you're also going to get 4 victory points every income phase, which we're only going to have 4 income phases in the game. Let's talk a little bit about, whoops, had those turned the wrong way.
You need 1 over.
I'm getting it. Let's talk a little bit about this area here, and this is the expand action. That lets you place warriors or move warriors. Notice I've only got access to the 1 warrior I have on the board plus 3 more. If I want more warriors, I can get them by advancing up the blue track, by advancing on the tower track.
That's it.
And those are the 2 A's, right?
Yep. That's to get you 6 extra guys.
So one here, 1 here, 2 here, and 2 here. So, Placing a warrior, you can place a warrior anywhere where you have a city. And to move a warrior, you can move them as far as you want, but they go one region at a time, like to here and to here. Moving over to here does not matter what the opposing players have in that region. You can freely move through or to that region. So let me place these back. So you can use these wild actions as anything. However, keep in mind, if you choose two wild actions, you cannot take an expand action and a develop action. You have to take two of a single action type, like two builds or two develops or two expands. You cannot split them up. As I mentioned, be sure to trigger all of your royal traits. These are the things that you have underneath your player board. This middle effect will never happen again during the game. You get this when you play it. These bottom effects, you'll get these every time you take the corresponding action. So for this, I would get 1 coin and 1 weapon when I take the build action. Not for each build point, just for taking my die from the spot.
As long as it's under your board.
As long as that card is under your board, not beside your board, but when it's tucked under your board. Now, some of them will say a die value of 3 or 4. When you retrieve a die of value 3 or 4 from these spaces here, you will get that corresponding benefit. So, let's talk a little bit about these vases. As soon as you achieve these vase conditions, you will immediately claim the 10, 7, or 3 victory points. That should be fairly easy to do. During your turn, and this is super important, you can use each of these extra actions. You can do each of them once, and they recommend that you do them as early as possible in the game, and don't forget that you can do them. For example, you can spend 1 weapon to move 1 of your warriors. You could spend a weapon to gain a temporary good of the same type in a region where you have a warrior. For example, if I have my warrior here, I can spend 1 weapon to take 1 of these temporary wood tokens. You can use 1 of your blue or red trade tiles by going up those trade tile stacks. The trade areas over on the left-hand side of the board. But keep in mind, you can do 1 of those each round. You could discard any number of cards from your hand and take 1 coin each. That's not really good return on your investment, I would say. But if you're out of money, like you were a lot during our game, you might have to do that to get the coins you need to buy other cards, to actually play those other cards. You can exchange 3 temporary trade goods for 1 permanent trade good of the same type, as long as it is available. And this is super, super, super important. So if I had these 3 and I did not spend them, and this were still available, I can take 1 of these, giving up those 3 temporaries. Now I've got 1 permanent wood bonus without having to spend any of my temporaries. And I'm going to get whatever benefits that came along with it regarding the income tracks moving up. Finally, you can return 1 warrior and spend 1 weapon to battle whichever of these sea peoples is on top. For example, I'll return my warrior, and there's really no way to mitigate it. Spend 2 weapons to take 3 cards. Now, anytime you see these cards sort of in a deck like this, you can't take from the offer. You just have to take from the top of the draw pile. And then this age 2C people will be available. You'll just hold on to this tile just in case some game effect requires you to have a certain number of these C people tiles. So after you've taken back all 4 of your dice and done the action, that's the end of one round. Now, there is an order in which you take these dice and use them. Here's the catch. Amy would have to use the 6 before she can use any of her 5s, and she could choose the order that she uses her 5s in. And then let's say that her smallest one was a 1. She would have to do this action last. So she would do this one, then we would go around, then she could do this one, we would go around, and finally she would do this action, which has her 1 die in it. Now, keep that in mind when you're playing your dice, when you're drafting and placing your dice out here, because you want to be able to, if you need to draw cards before you play cards, you need to make sure that this die is equal to or higher than this die over here. Super, super important. So let's talk a little bit about the scoring after rounds 2 and 4. We are going to do farm scoring. Remember, you're going to get 2, 4, 8, or 14 victory points. You are going to do region scoring. Region scoring, we're going to do these in numerical order. You'll see that this is region 1, region 2, region 3. You're going to see who has the most warriors in a region. Warriors are going to give you dominance. It doesn't matter how many cities you have. It doesn't matter how many towers you have. It doesn't even matter if you've killed off the sea people. It just matters how many warriors you have at any one time. Currently, none of us have dominance in this region. We all have presence in this region. So we are going to get a number of points for presence and dominance based on this little spot on the bottom of the board. You start off by getting 1 point. 1 point for presence and 3 points per dominance. When you go up on this blue track, it starts being 2 points for presence and 4 points for dominance. 3 and 5, 4 and 6. In addition, your towers will give you bonus points for having dominance and more bonus points for having dominance. So that's super helpful. You will also, let's see. We're going to do farm scoring. We're going to do region scoring. And then you're going to take all of these blue cards and get rid of them, replacing them with the red cards, which are the age 2 cards. You're not going to remove these sea peoples. You're just going to remove these cards. Then we're going to do rounds 3 and 4. Then we're going to do another scoring, farm scoring, region scoring, where you do your presence and dominance. Then we're going to remove all of the age 1 sea peoples. And then whoever else is on the board can then take this one last chance to fight the level 2 sea people in that region. Obviously, the player with the most warriors in the region can choose to battle first. If there's a tie, whoever has the most weaponry wins the tie. If there's still a tie, whoever is earlier in turn order wins. However, let's say Steph has the most warriors and she chooses not to battle the player with the next most warriors can battle those sea peoples. If nobody wants to battle them, then that tile just goes back to the game box.
We found they were all gone before the end of the game.
On our game, yeah. Was it that way in the 3-player game?
Yep. We ate up them all.
Interesting. Well, I mean, it's good points.
Well, yeah.
So, finally, you're going to do resource scoring. and palace scoring and player board scoring. For palaces, you're going to get 1 point for your second palace, 3 points for your third palace. Not a lot of points, but it is something. You're also going to get points for where is that? For your player board scoring for your ships. You're going to get 2 points for your second ship, 5 points for your third ship. You're also going to total up your coins, your weaponry, and all of the cards in your hand. Divide that up. Let's say I had a card and 2 coins. Well, I'm going to divide this by 5. That's not going to give me any points. I would need a couple of extra somethings. This would get me 1 whole point. And then score 1 point for every card that you play that you did not tuck under your board. And then that's going to be how many points you get. You're also going to count all of the victory points for the cards that you did tuck under your board. You'll notice that this card is worth 4 victory points. Now, the only thing that I did not mention is what happens really during the income phase and cleanup phase. During the income phase, you're going to get your coins and VP according to the position of your income marker. Anytime you see the little hand underneath something, that's how much you're going to get for income. You're going to get benefits for your income on your ship's tiles, your weapons according to the blue track. You'll also get to place cards underneath your player board. 1 card by default, 2 cards if you're this far up the track, 3 cards, 4 cards. These cards are a primary way of getting points from your played area to your palace area. That's the only way you score these 4 points, not by playing the card for this, but by tucking it under your board. So let's say I played this in an earlier round. I can tuck this card when the income phase rolls around, and I can tuck that card just like this. But let's say I've got a really, really, really good card in my hand that I must play. And I don't want this. I don't want this benefit. I want the one that's in my hand. There is a way that you can play this card directly from your hand, but it's going to cost you these victory points. Yes, you will get them back at the end of the game, but it's going to cost you right now. And if you don't have the victory points, you can't do it. So, finally, there is one thing that I did not mention during the rules teach, and it is this. When you are playing cards with this develop area, I did say that you could play those cards from your hand. There is another way you can play cards, and you can play cards from the supply, but it's going to cost you an additional 3 coins. I believe that's the only rule that I did not catch on my first go through. Steph, can you think of anything? You weren't listening. Yeah, I didn't think so.
1 icon, 1 resource. That's it.
Yes, 1 icon, 1 resource. Only true for playing cards. It's not true for building. Building is a multiplied effect. If I have 3 stone, I do get 3 stone benefit for the cities. If I have 3 copper, I do get 3 copper benefit for towers. Multiplied wood benefit for ships, and multiplied herb benefits for going up on the trade routes.
Yeah, seems good. Ready to
play. And multiple grain benefit to save warriors.
Oh yeah, definitely need that.
All right, so Amy has arrived. We are ready for the playthrough. So yeah, I can go ahead and already tell you this game super fun.
Yeah.
So highly recommend it.
We love
If
it.
all you came here for is the review, this game is fantastic.
I taught Amy last night, so she's ready to go.
Oh yeah, I love it. I loved it. I was ready to play again.
You don't even need the rules teach, so you're ready to go. And she said with all the 3-player games you made me play recently, I want to play a nice meaty game.
This fits the bill.
This fits the bill.
Yeah.
So be sure to stay. If you're with us on Twitch, be sure to stick with us for the playthrough. If you are joining us from YouTube, just click the link down below that Steph is going to put in there.
I will.
So if you enjoyed this teach and you want to see the playthrough or other teaches like this, then you can join us on YouTube. Just search for Board Gamer Steph. Or you can join us on twitch.tv/BoardGamerSteph every Wednesday and Sunday night at 5 p.m. Central, where we stream 3 games or more every single stream. So come join us on Twitch, where we play all the games.
And for those on Twitch, we'll be right back.